Hello, everyone. This is the continuation of trying to solve the very hard puzzle, Killer Sudoku. Had some rust, so hopefully we can get through this part and then solve this puzzle. Anyway, let's continue on. Okay, I don't really remember what I was doing. But let's take a look. Okay. Hmm. We know this matches one of these up here. It matches this. Hmm. Okay, yeah, we just have cages. This 8 must be either here or here. If it's here, then this has to be 8. If it's not here, then this has to be 8, which means that can't be 8, which means one of these 4 is an 8. Okay, yeah, what are the consequences, essentially, of if we have an 8 here? Sorry, if we have an 8 here. If we have an 8 here, 8 cannot be here. So therefore 8 has to be here. Which means 2 has to be here. And then 2 has to be here. Does that really tell us anything? I'm not really sure. Okay, so if 8's here, 8 can't be here. So 8 has to be here, 2 has to be here, 8 has to be here. 8 cannot be any of these, therefore it must be here, which means 8 cannot be here. That doesn't really tell us much. We know the yellow 1, 3 is here, which means it has to be here and then here, right? It correspondingly is not here. It could be any of these 5, though. If this is 5, that means this is 2 and 3, which makes that 1 and that 2. That seems fine. The only way... So we know 1 of 4, 6 is here. To be blunt, I don't really remember how I got this 5. I do remember that it was pretty convoluted logic, but it was also, I think it was pretty solid. Unfortunately, so this doesn't give us much information besides what we've gotten. This is a question mark. This is a question mark. So this is, well, we already knew 9 couldn't be there. This is at most 18. Which means this has to be at least 27? Is that right? Yeah, 45 minus 18 is 27. So it's at least 3, 7, 8, 9. But the problem is it's divided into 2 cages. So it does not, there's no guarantee that it's going to not be there, I guess. Yeah. I mean, one interesting thing is either this is an 8 or this is an 8, right? So, but the problem is that, like, this part could be 8 too. So that doesn't restrict us anywhere, right? Hmm. So the remaining digits in these four cells, one of them's the 3 or 5, it's this one, so and that's there. One of them's the 4 or 6, and it has to specifically be there. And then one of them's an 8, which could be an either, and one of them's a 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, which is a lot, which could be either here or here. It's the one, actually, it's in the one where the 8 is not. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Kind of. So that is an implication if 8 is here. Okay. So actually, can this ever be 2 is kind of a question, right? If this is 8, obviously it can't be 2. If this is 8, this would have to be 2, and then this would have to be 2. Oh, that's interesting. That's actually a very interesting thing there. Right, because if this is 8, this becomes 2 here, which means 2 cannot be here or here. It has to be here, and it forces 2 to be here. I think I see it. Okay, right. So yeah, assuming 8 is here, that means 2 has to be here. 2 can no longer be here in one of these two cells in row 1, and 2 can't be here because 2 has to be here. So where's 2? 2 has to be here then, because it cannot be here because that has to match B, which is one of these two. And B cannot be any of these because B has to be here, so B has to be one of those two. Therefore, this becomes a 3-5-3-5 pair. 2 has to appear here because it's not in any of these cells. It must be in this one because it can't be the 8. The 8 is already here, and the B has to be here too. The 3-5-3-5 pair eliminates 3 and 5 from the rest of the column. 2 is here, so therefore this must be 3 and 5. So this cannot be 2 or 3, 5, so this becomes 1 and 4. But the problem is 2, 3, and 5 have already eliminated 2, 3, and 5 here, so this must be 1 and 4 also, which means that there would be a 1-4 pair here, and this would be 1 or 4, which is not allowed because you cannot have digits repeating in cages. Wow, that's pretty... Whew, that logic is interesting, and I don't know how you come up with it, but that's where you get it. So this can never be 8 then, because again, this was assuming this was 8. If this was 8, this has to be 2, which means this can't be 2. That forces this to be a 2, which makes this a 3-5 pair. And that 3-5, this 2 means the 2 has to be here, which makes that a 3-5 pair, which means this can't be 2 or 3, so this is 1-4. This 3-5 eliminates 2, 3, and 5 here, and this 2 here eliminates 2 here. So therefore, this is 1-4 again, and therefore this 1-4 pair has a duplicate here. So 8 cannot be here. So this cannot be 8. Which means that these two, so this has to be 8. So this is 2 and 8 with specifically 4 or 6, right? So 8 has to be here, which means they can't be here. 8 has to be here then. So since 8 is here, because that's the only place for it now in column 6, because 8 we know is one of these two cells. And then we have A. So this can't be 8 anymore. Therefore, this must be the 8. So this cannot be 2. And this cannot be 8, and it has to be 2 here. What is the C? The C was the 8? Yeah, I think the C was the 8. Or maybe it was, I don't know. We can remove the C. Now 2 can no longer be here. So, oops. 2 can no longer be here. This is 3, 5, 7, or 9, and it has to go here too. So this has to match here, and 2 becomes one of these two cells. Okay, we're still not out of the woods yet. It's kind of crazy. We know 8 has to be one of those 3. 8 cannot be here. So 8 is either here or here. Oh, that's interesting. So, where is a 7, 9 possible in column 5? Well, assuming this is not 7, 9, these both would have to be 7 or 9. But that would eliminate 7, 9 from these 3 cells. And then where would 7 or 9 be in column 4? They would both have to be here, which is not allowed. So this cannot be 2 7 9s here, which means this cannot be the 4 or the 6. So this cannot be 4 or 6. It has to be 7 or 9. And therefore, we have a 7 9 7 9 pair in row 3, which eliminates 7 and 9 from the rest of the row. So this has to be 4 or 6. This corresponds to... Oh. It cannot be any of these cells. So then this cell, which will make blue, has to be one of these two cells. The pink one is here. That means this cannot be 4 or 6 because it sees the pink one is here. The blue one has to be one of these two because it cannot be here because it's in the same cage. It cannot be here because it can't add up with 5 to add up to a single digit number, or actually not a single digit number, to a digit that is less than 9. So these cannot be 4 or 6. Now that's interesting. These can't be blue. So this can't be 4 then, because it sees one of these 4 or 6. It sees all 4, 6, and 8s. This can't be 4, 6, or 8. So it could be 1, 2, 3. No 4, 5, 6. It could be 7 or 9 and no 8. Interesting. Ah. So where is the other 4, 6? The 8 is here. So the other 4, 6 has to be in one of these two cells. So it cannot have a 7. And I don't think it could have a 5, right? So this has to be the pink, right? And this is the pink. So the 7 cannot be here. So one of 7 or 9 is here. And the other 7 or 9 has to be here, right? Well, where's the last place for 7 and 9? It has to be here. So this can't be... Aha. Right. They both cannot be 7 and 9 because one of them has to be here. Therefore, this must be a 7 or 9. And therefore, it cannot be the blue. Well, where is the blue? It has to be here. So the blue has to be a 4. So this is 4, which forces this to be 6. which makes this a 1, 2, 6 triplet. Therefore, this has to be 3. This can't be 1, 2, and 6. So the 3 cannot be here. This has to be a 1. Aha. And that clears up a whole bunch of stuff, actually, which is nice. So the orange one is here. So this is not orange. This has to be, and it could still be the light here. So this is 3. This can't be 6 anymore. So none of these are 6. So we have a 2, 4, 2, 4 pair here. This can't be 1. This has to be a 4. So this can't be 4. We can remove the stuff on the outside. This cannot be a 7 because it has to include a 4 or 6. This can't be 5 either because it must include a 4 or a 6 to add up to less than 9. Right? Because it's a less than single-digit symbol, so therefore it's at most 8. So this can never be 4, 5, which would be the minimum to include a 4 with a 5. Well, we now have... Okay, so this can't be 6 here. So this is specifically 4. This is 4 with one of 2 or 3 and both 7 or 9. So this cannot contain a 4. So this is 5, 6, and 8. This cannot contain a 4, obviously. So this is 5, 6, or 8 here. We have, let's see. Where is the 5 then in column 6? It cannot be any of these because we know this has to be a 5. And it can't be here because this is an 8. This cannot, okay, so this can't have a 4. And therefore this cannot have a 5 because, again, it adds up with a 4 or 6, actually with a 6 specifically. So it's specifically 6 here, and therefore it has to be 1 or 2 here. So it cannot have a 5 here. Therefore, where is the 5? It has to be in one of these two cells, which means it cannot be here. So this must be a 3, and this has to be a 2. So this can't be 2 or 3. This can't be 2 or 3. This can't be 2 or 3. These can't be 3. Therefore, 3 has to be here. 5 has to be here. And 5 is one of these two, right? Okay, we can remove the A and the 8. We know that already. 1 of 7 or 9 is here. This is 6 with 1 or 2. We know 1 of 7. Okay, so this can't be 4. So this is 6, 8. We know this is 1, 5, or 7, 9. So 1 has to be in these 3 cells in column 5, which means this cannot be 1. So this is 2, 6. This can't be 2. Therefore, since this can't be 2, and it has to be less than 9, which is 8 at most, this has to be 3 and this has to be a 1, because it doesn't have a 2 anymore here. So this cannot be 2. This has to be a 2, because that's the only place for it now. Therefore, this is a 3, and this is a 1, which means these can't be 1. These can no longer be 2. This can no longer be 3 or 4. This can't be 3. So this is 1 with 7 or 9. These can't be 3. This can't be 3. This is 2 or 4. We have a 2, 4, 2, 4 pair, which eliminates 2 and 4 from the rest of the column. We have this can't be 3 either. We have a 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 8 triplet in column 1, which eliminates 5, 6, and 8 from the rest of the column. So this can't be 4, 6, or 8. So 1 of 2 or 4 is here. The other 3, the 3 has to be one of these two. This cannot have a 6 here. Um, hmm. This can't be 1 because of this 1. This can't be 1. Okay, that's interesting. So where can this ever be 9? If this is 9, that forces 1 to be here, and then 1 with no 9 can never be a double-digit number, so this can never be 9. So therefore one of these three is a 9, which means none of these can be 9. So this is 1 or 7. We know that 9 has to be one of those two. So obviously if this is 1, this could be any combination of things. This could be, if this is 7, this has to be 1, 9. So what are the possibilities here? It's specifically 1, 7, 8, 9, or 6. This cannot be 1 or 8. Okay. This is 2 and 6 because it's less than 9. And the only one with 6 without... Well, we knew 2 had to be here because 1 could not be there. That's the only other possibility. 1 could be here with 1 and 9. Or 1 is here. So 1 has to be one of these 4. Aha. Okay, where is the 1 in column 7? Can't be any of these. Can't be here or here. It must be here. So this is a 1, which means this cannot be 1. Where's the 2 in column 7? Can't be any of these because of what we've eliminated previously. Therefore, it must be one of these 3 cells. So this can't be 2. No 2 here. This is 4, so these can't be 4. This can't be 4. Hmm. Hmm. 2 could be here. So 1 is either here, in which case this has to be 1, 9, which eliminates 1 and 9 here. So this can't be 1, therefore this would be 1. Or 1 is here, which means 1 can't be in either of these places, and 1 would have to be here. So 1 has to be one of either here or here, right? If this is 1, this can't be 9, because this would have to be 1, 9. So this can never be 1. This has to be 6, 7, 8, or 9. So again, if 1, 9 is here, if 1 is here, 9 has to be here too, which means this can't be 1 or 9. This has to be the 1, and therefore, I guess 9 could be here or here, but 9 can never be here. If this is 1, that means this has to be 7, this has to be 1, and this has to be 9, which means 9 cannot be ever here. So this can never be 9. Because again, if the 1, it's either 1, or if it's not 1, this is 1, which makes this a 1, 9, which means that can't be 9. Okay. Actually, that's interesting. So if this is 1, 9, that means this can never be 8. So 8 would have to be here. One of these two. And 8 being here would mean 2 would have to be here. But then there's no other restriction, really. Okay, never mind. Hmm. Yeah, this is still tough, even though, yeah, we've solved a lot of it. One of two or four is here. Okay, so this is two or four, therefore this cannot be the blue. Um, so this cannot be the red because it has to match the green, right? So it's this one. This red matches this one. The pink could be either of these, right? So we don't know. Hmm. Okay. What else do we have? 3 and 4 are both here. We can remove the outer stuff for this stuff. Uh, blue, unfortunately, doesn't help anymore. Pink cannot be here. This is orange, so the orange is not, we know it's here. We don't know which one of these. Actually, it doesn't matter anymore because okay, well, the yellow doesn't matter either. The green really kind of doesn't matter either. Um, does the pink really matter? Not really. It's just one of them. So, yeah. We just do need to keep a track of the reds because that's the greens. It's helpful, but nothing else. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. We know one of the 7 or 9 is here. If this is 1, that would mean this could not be 1. So this would be 7 or 9. Which with the 7-9-7-9 pair, which eliminates 7 and 9 from the rest of the row. So then this would be forced to be 5 and 6. The 9 would have to be here, which would mean this could not be 9. This would have to be 7, because the 9 would have to be here now, because this is a 5-6 pair. And the 9 would have to be with an 8, obviously because a 7 could not be here. So then this would be 1, 7. But this couldn't be 7, so this would be forced to be 1, which would make that a 2. Right, so the only way this is a 1 is if this has to be a 1. But if this is a 1, this becomes 7-9, and that's a 7-9-7-9 pair, which forces this to be 5-6 as a 5-6 pair, which eliminates 5 and 6 from here, so this is 8. So this would be 1 or 2, and this would be 1 or 2. I guess this could be 2, actually. So then it would be a 1-2-1-2 pair. That's possible. Because either of them could be with 7. And the 7 would have to be here, though, if that's the case. And therefore, in that case, this would be 9, and this would be 7. Hmm. Okay. I don't know if that tells us much. Um, we know 2 is one of these 3 cells. Um, hmm. So this has to be 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is still pretty broad. Hmm. Obviously, if this is 2, this has to be a 9 then. Oh, that's actually kind of interesting. So what does that mean? So if this is 2, this also has to be with a 9 because it has to be greater than 10, which is the lowest 2-digit number. Um, so therefore that would be 11. 9 could not be here. 9 would have to be here. This would be 7. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and then 1 could not be here because this would have to be 2 and 9. So this couldn't be 1. Therefore, this would be 1. This would be 9. This would be 7. This would be 1. Actually, that kind of works. This would be 7. This would be 9 again. So one of these would be 9. This would be 7. This would have to be 1. This would be 7. This would be 1 and 9. Therefore, this would be 8. This would be 5. And this would be 6. Which would force this to be 2, 8. So let's go through this again. Okay, so this is 2, 9. This can't be 1, 9, so this has to be 1. So therefore, this is 7. This cannot be 9, so this must be a 9, which makes this a 7, which makes this a 1. This can't be 1 or 7, so this is 2. This 7 means this has to be 1. This has to be 9, which leaves this as 8. Ah, but this 8 forces this to be 4, 6, which makes this 2 and 8, and we have a contradiction here. So this can never be 2. That's pretty convoluted to do that. But anyways, this cannot be 2. Essentially is the long and short of what we got from that. So therefore this has to be 2. I think actually that means none of these can be 9, right? If any of these are 9, yeah, if any of these are 9, that would mean this can't be 9, so therefore this would be 9. That 9 would force this to be not 9. Um, which would mean 1 would have to be here, which would force this to be 7, which would force this to be 1, 9. This would then have to be 8. This 9 would make this 7, which would make that 1, which would make that a 2. And then you would have the same contradiction. So that means 9 can never be here. But 9 could still be any of these, right? So those are still valid. We just can't have 2 here. So 9 cannot be here. Can this be 9? Possibly. If this is 9... No, it cannot be. If this is 9... Actually, I think none of these could be 9, right? If any of these are 9, that would mean this is 7. I guess the point is, can 2 ever be here, right? Well, no. So, okay, 7 and 9 cannot be here. If either of these are 7 or 9, that forces this to... one of these would be 7 or 9, which eliminates 7 and 9 from the rest of the row, which makes this a 1, and that makes this a 2. This 1 means this has to be 7. That 7 means this has to be 1, 9, because the 1 has to be here somewhere, which forces 8 to be here. So if this is either 7 or 9, you have that problem, essentially, that we've run into over and over again. So therefore, this cannot be 7 or 9, which means this has to be a 5-6 pair. So this is 5 and 6. Therefore, 9 is here, which means 9 cannot be here. This is 1 and 7, which forces this to be a 9. These can't be 9 then. We have a 3, 4, 7 triplet in box 8, which eliminates 3, 4, and 7 from the rest of the box. Therefore, this is 5 and 9. This can't be 9. This is 7, which forces that to be 9, which makes that a 7. None of these could be 7. Oops. None of these could be 7. This can't be 7. This can't be a 2 anymore. We know that's a very 5-9 pair. So the 9 is here. 5 and 6 are eliminated from the rest of the box because of the 5-6 pair. 7 can no longer be here. Where can the 7 be? It has to be here. So therefore, this can't be 8. This has to be 7 with 1 or 2. This then becomes an 8 and 9 pair, because those are the only places 8 and 9 can now be. Therefore, this can't be 9. This can't be 8 or 9. This can't be 8. So this can no longer be 3 here, because if this is 3, it requires an 8 or 9 to be greater than 10. So where is the 3 in column 7? It has to be here. So this is a 3. This can't be 3. This is not B. This has to be 3 and 4, adding up with 1 and 2. That's fine. This has to have a 4, because there's no other place for the 4 in the column. Therefore, this is a 4 here, which means it has to be greater than 10. And therefore, the only possible digit which it can be of the remaining digits is 7. 4 and 7 add up to 11, which is greater than 10. This can't be 7, so this must be 5. These can't be 5 anymore. So this must be 9, which makes this a 5, which makes this a 9. This can't be 5 or 9. This is a 7, so this can't be 7. Therefore, that's an 8, which makes that a 7. This can't be 5 because of this 5, so this is 6, which makes that a 5. This 5 and 6 eliminates 5 and 6 here, so this has to be 8. This can't be 9 anymore. So we have a 1, 7, 1, 7 pair in column 1, which eliminates 1 and 7 from the rest of the column. Therefore, that's a 9. We don't know about the rest of this. Okay, therefore, none of these can be 7. Five cannot be here. 8 cannot be here. This is 7. The remaining digits here have to be 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 5. Well, this can't be 5, 7, or 9. This can't be 4. This can't be 7 because of this 7. This can't be 4 also. Okay. These can't be 8. So the 1 doesn't help anymore. 9 is one of these 2. That's not helpful. This could be 2, 3, 4, or 1, 3, 4. 4 has to be one of those 2. Okay, what are the possible pairs here? 9 cannot be here. That's interesting. So one of these two is an 8. If this is 8, this has to be 1. If this is 8, right, so where's 8? 8 cannot be either of these, cannot be either of these. So this is 8 or this is 8. If this is 8, that has to be with a 1. If this is 8, 1 cannot be here either. So therefore 1 would have to be here. So either way, 1 has to be in one of these two cells, which means 1 cannot be here. 1 cannot be here, so this is 7, which makes this a 1. So none of these are a 1. This cannot be 1. So this has to be 1 and 9. So this is 1 and 9. This cannot be 7 or 9, so that makes that 6, which makes that 5, which makes that an 8. Since this is 8, this can no longer be 8 here. So this has to be 4 and 6. This has to be 2 and 8. Therefore, this is a 2, which makes that a 7, which makes that a 2, which makes that a 7. The remaining digits here are 3 and 4. This can't be 2, so this must be 5, which makes that a 2. This 5 means this can't be 5, so this is a 6, which makes that a 5. This is all normal Sudoku. This can't be 6, so therefore this is an 8, which makes that a 6. This can't be 8, which makes that a 9, which makes that 8. Again, 2 cannot be here. This can't be 2, so this must be 6, which makes this a 2. This can't be 5 or 6. This can't be 6, so this is 3. That 3 means this has to be 4. This 3 and 4 means this is a 7. This cannot be 3, 5, or 6, so it must be 9. Since this is 9, this cannot be 9. These can't be 3 anymore. These can't be 3. Neither of these could be 7. Neither of these could be 4. This can't be 7 anymore, so it must be 4, which makes that a 7. This 4 means that's not a 4, so this is 3, 4. That 3 means this is a 2, which makes that a 3. That 2 means this has to be 6, which makes that a 2. This 9 means this has to be 5, which makes that a 9. The remaining digits here are 1 and 8, so this must be 1 and 8, which forces this to be a 6, and therefore 5. This can't be 1 anymore, so this is 3. This 7 means this has to be a 1, which makes that a 7. And this can't be 1 or 3, so this must be 4, which makes that a 1. This 3 means this is a 4, and therefore this is a 3. Pretty crazy. Huh. Definitely very difficult puzzle. Very, very difficult puzzle. But the logic is there. It's just, wow. That's a lot of... Getting to those restrictions was really... I don't even really remember how I got to this 5. I just remember that the logic seems sound. Yeah. And it was a lot of cages, which is actually something that I actually like. I like the cages, using the killer cage rule of which forces certain digits to be in certain places, right? But man, oh, that was definitely a very hard puzzle. I hope you actually were able to solve this or enjoyed these 2 videos about solving this puzzle. And I'll see you next time on Frank Puzzles. Take care.